Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Worth Buying. My name is Robert Kinsler, and I'm a music writer and a musician.
And my name's TJR. I'm a musician and a music writer.
Now, we're here today because we've just learned, just at this very second,
Yes.
a few minutes ago, the class of 2019 nominees to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the candidates, have been announced, and there's
Yes.
online voting that started, right away as well. So what we're going to do is talk. We're actually going to look at these together, and then we're going to go artist by artist and talk about our initial impressions.
Yeah.
Do we think they belong? What happens?
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do very quickly is give
Sure.
a little bit of the background, like who's eligible
Okay.
to be inducted. So.
Yeah.
This is what's important. I said, to be eligible, an artist's first commercial recording must have been released at least 25 years ago, making 1994 the cutoff to be inducted into 2019.
Okay.
So that gives people a little bit of background into, that has to be the case. And again, you can go to rockhall.com and you can I guess you kind of have to register, make sure that you're a real person and all that good stuff, and then you can actually vote once a day, and then those collective votes, and there's all the details there. I guess they kind of count as like one official voting member or something. But what I've heard is that people that are voting, which is comprised of people in the industry as well as past recipients, inductees into the Hall of Fame, they're all eligible voters. They kind of can look at who are some of the top vote getters, and that might hold a little influence on them as well.
Okay. Do we know how you get to be able to qualify to vote? Who gets to, obviously not everybody gets to vote.
I don't know. Like I said, I've been a music writer for close to 25 years, and I've never been invited. I know the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame knows who I am because I'm on their media distribution list.
Yeah.
But I've never been asked, even though I've worked for the Orange County Register and some other publications and stuff. But you might have to be like a full-time, really established writer, like I'm guessing like with the New York Times or perhaps with the Los Angeles Times. It's probably above my pay grade.
Okay. Real quick though, if anybody out there watching knows and wants to share that in the comments, please let us know. We're curious.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I don't know who these candidates are. I have no clue.
Yeah, and I glanced just because I pulled it up on here, but I don't have them all on the top of my head. So let's go through them together. I think they're listed.
Hear them for the first time and give our reactions.
I think they might be listed alphabetically, but I mean, we'll find that out together. Okay. So the first artist that they have listed is Def Leppard.
Okay.
They said they've been eligible since 2005. This is their first nomination because it says they're nominated for 2019 for the first time, and they're listed in the category of performers. So why don't we start? What's your initial reaction? And
I'm good with Def Leppard. I've never been a huge Def Leppard fan. In fact, full disclosure here, you're all gonna go. I don't even own Pyromania. And I know some people go, what? What? But no, I don't own Pyromania. That's occurred to me recently that maybe I should go listen to that whole album someday. But I think it's deserving. They continued. I know they had their high point in the '80s, but they continued to put out new music. And I know you turned me on to one of their albums that I actually do have.
Yeah, it's called Slang.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Slang.
Slang. I
couldn't quite remember.
I think it came out about 2014.
Yeah, and that was a really good album.
That was a good album, and they're still very, very, very popular touring act as well. Yeah.
Of course. Okay. So who else we got?
Okay, so let's and like I said, I'm gonna have to. We're just seeing this together for the first time, so we're gonna go back. Okay. The next artist we have is Devo.
Oh, Devo.
Okay, and they've been eligible since 2003. Again, this is saying this is their first nomination, and they're in the category just like Def Leppard of performers. So now on this one, having seen Devo a few times, I definitely think they are deserve of being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Very influential, I'd say, a real strong minimalistic, style that they have, but original. But it's funny, you can still see still hear elements of what they did in mainstream music.
To me, I got so into Devo when they first came out, which I think was more like late '70s.
I think so. Yeah.
The punk. We think of punk as '80s, but it was really late '70s. And I remember the first time I saw Devo was on Saturday Night Live, and I was just blown away by that performance. I had to go out and get one of their albums right after that. But yeah, I thought Devo when they first came out, when they first hit, they were tremendously groundbreaking.
Right, exactly.
They had this punk aesthetic, but they were actually really good players because of the type of music they played, the bizarre time signatures they sometimes jumped into, the way they played with time signatures. They were clearly better musicians than people might have thought.
Or they let on, exactly.
Than they let on, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and then of course their version of Satisfaction is
probably the most famous other than the Stones original.
I think aside from the Stones, it's the best version.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot because how many people have covered Satisfaction?
Yeah, I know. Aside from the Stones, that's the best version right there.
Yeah.
And so no, I've got no problem with Devo. I'm glad to hear about that. Have they ever been nominated before?
No, it's saying here this
Wow,
is a number of nominations, one.
Okay.
So next up is Janet Jackson. It says her third nomination. She was nominated in 2016 and for the 2017 ceremony, and now again for the 2019 class. And she's also in the category of performer.
This is her second time.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm cool with Janet Jackson. Control, to me, Control was one of my guilty pleasures during the 80s when I was like mainly hanging out with metal bands. And that was one of my secret guilty pleasures, that I really like Janet Jackson's Control album. I still do like that album. And I think that was, I don't know if I would say it was a groundbreaking album, but damn if it wasn't one of the most solid albums I've ever heard. You know, I mean, yeah, I would say she's produced a large body of work. And consistently. I have to admit, aside from Control, I'm not as familiar with the rest of her catalog, I'll be honest. I just have that one album. I know that one album. But I think just judging from what she's done, you know, I think that's a pretty good choice. What about you?
Now, for me, I have to say I'm simply not that familiar with her catalog. Even that album, which I know famous. I mean, I remember at the time hearing the hits. They didn't resonate with me much, but again, especially at that time, my tastes definitely leaned more toward rock and alternative rock and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, she, you know, based on commercial success and maybe the number of times she's been nominated, obviously there's something deserving there. So
she's had a lot of hits. She's had a long, consistent career. She's put out a consistent
because
catalog.
what I would say, like, and maybe not so much with Def Leppard, but with Devo, you know, one of the things I look for in something like this is how influential the band has been. Sure. Like a band like the Beatles, without a doubt, we know how influential they were. And all the innovations they did in the studio and so many things. What are kind of your thoughts on Janet Jackson? Are you
as far as being influential? It's hard for me. I can't really judge that.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I'm sure she's had a strong influence on the current crop of female R&B artists. I'm sure she's had a strong influence on them. But as far as me measuring it, I don't think I'm the right. I don't think I can really answer that.
And I know I'm not.
I just know that Control was just one of those albums that I really, really liked. And you know, sometimes you can really like an artist just for one album.
Oh, very true.
And I really liked that album. I just thought it was just an effing hot album. I still do. And I'm no longer. It's no longer a guilty pleasure. It's just a pleasure. I no longer hide in the closet about that. About liking that album. I mean, it's just like for some people, the Bee Gees are the Saturday Night Live soundtrack. That's the Bee Gees for them. You know, and that's all they know them for. But that's that album had a huge influence on them. So I don't think I'm the right person to judge on that.
Good comment.
But I just think that when I look at the length of her career, how much she's done, how much work she's put out, how much music she's released, that it doesn't seem to me like it's not undeserving in that respect. But I'm not the one to judge as far as her influence.
Good call. Now, the next artist is an artist I don't know a lot about, although I have seen him and was impressed, and that's John Prine. He's been eligible since 1996. He's been out for a while. This is his first nomination. And again, he's in the category of performer. And again, with John Prine, he's very well known as an influential songwriter. I know artists like Bonnie Raitt sometimes credit him as one of their favorite writers. You know, I think in some cases, like I think of an artist like Bruce Cockburn who might never get in, and yet he's so amazing as a singer, songwriter, and performer. You wonder if maybe there might be a category someday for just songwriters almost being acknowledged, because I wonder if because obviously you see a name like John Prine, and Janet Jackson is much better known. It sold more albums.
Well, sure, yeah.
Def Leppard is much better known.
More commercial,
so, and
regular
even
play,
Devo had this big, like you said, groundbreaking splash. So I don't know, but he probably is very deserving as well to get in.
Once again, like you, I'm not familiar with John Prine's work. He's one of those artists whose name I know. I hear his name mentioned. I hear other songwriters speak highly of him, but I personally don't know his work.
Yeah.
And if I have heard it, it's never like hit me in a strong way to where I've said, "Oh, wow," you know. So yeah, I'm just going to have to trust those that nominated him. That they had good reasons for it. So yeah, sorry, I have to sound like an idiot on this one.
Now the next artist is someone that's going to be familiar to people that have seen the list in the past of artists nominated, and that's Kraftwerk. This is their 5th nomination, so they've even beat out maybe some other bands that have been, like we mentioned, like a Janet Jackson. They've been eligible since 1995, so going back for a while. Again, they're in the list of category. Of performers category.
How well do you know this band?
I don't know them that well. I've never seen Kraftwerk. I know that they're as I recall that they're were formed in Germany, and they were among the first to kind of incorporate synthesizers in some of the new wave and kind of like experimental
sounds. I'm reading about them right now.
Yeah. So and if you do go to the website, it does give full bios, and I think that will lead to your appreciation of them. And there's quite a background of them and their recordings going way back to the 70s. So again, this is another band that may very well be deserving of getting in, but I don't think you and I are just really in a position to comment too specifically about.
And this might be a thing for us to listen to some of these people that we are not familiar with, and then kind of come back and kind of give our impressions about.
Exactly. Now the next artist is LL Cool J. He's had 5 nominations as well, so he's up there with Kraftwerk. He's been eligible since 2009, and he was nominated in 2010.
5 times. He's been nominated 5 times.
So just like Kraftwerk, so 2010, 2011, 2014, 2018, and this 5th nomination is to be inducted in 2019. And again, he's listed in the category of performers, so we know that. Again, I just don't feel like I'm not...
Click on his bio for a moment here. I just want to look. Yeah, same here. I know who LL Cool J is. I mean, how many times has he hosted the Grammys?
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's a very well-known figure.
Yeah, and he's an actor, very good actor. I thought there's a couple movies I've seen him in where I think he's a good actor. I am not that familiar with his music. Like I said, and I don't think either of us feel that qualified to talk about rap.
And I think we've also said that I don't consider myself any kind of expert on hip-hop music at all, really. So a lot of times I'm reticent to say too much because I just don't think I'm a good one to say much.
I have some familiarity with a few rap albums that I like. There have been occasional rap songs that I've dug, occasional rap albums that I've really enjoyed. They have been few and far between. That's not a diss on rap. It's just because it's just whatever reason doesn't connect with me for the most part. And I'm not real familiar with LL Cool J's music. There's probably other rappers whose music I'm more familiar with. And, I mean, I don't know. Do we even want to bring up the whole, does rap belong? I mean, there have already been rap artists in the rock and roll
there have been. And R&B. I mean, that ship has sailed in folk. Like, I know Joan Baez, I think, was kind of surprised that she was being acknowledged.
Folk,
because she's a full-on folk artist. She never, even was like Dylan, kind of went over to the rock side. Yeah.
And I don't know, like I said, we call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and maybe we shouldn't go off on this topic. Yeah. But I mean, have any country artists been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I think there have been. Yeah. So I don't know if the term rock and roll what that means. If it's pop, it's
popular music, or what it.
In the terms of this, because you don't see. I don't know if you've seen any rock people nominated in the Country Hall of Fame, Music Hall of Fame, or any R&B or hip hop in the Country Music Hall of Fame. But anyways, I think this is a separate topic.
Yeah, it is a separate topic.
I think
right now we'll continue to hammer through. Now, the next group is MC5.
MC5, okay.
They've been eligible since 1991. They were nominated in 2003, 2000 for 2017, for 2018, and now again their fourth time for 2019. So this is their 4th nomination. And we'll go ahead and click on check out their bio again. Like I said, we're kind of going through this with all of you. So what they're going to do here is just give a little background. They give some of their noted albums they've released, like I Can Only Give You Everything, I Just Don't Know, Looking at You, Borderline. It looks like they're giving you quite a few high points in their career.
Yeah.
So and they have been around for a while. So it's one of those things for those that know the artist and probably passionate, and they're probably thrilled to see him here.
Yeah.
We might just not be the people that know are that familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that familiar with their music, but I'm familiar with their history, their story, and I think there are music artists that are the pioneers. How do I say this? There's a story. The real pioneers are the ones that you see shot full of arrows on on the roadside. I'm not saying they were like killed or anything, but there are the pioneers who kind of pave the way, and then other people are able to become more famous off of the way that of the road that they crossed
kind of
first.
Right.
Is what
I'm
trying
thinking
to say.
like what you're saying is like a Graham Parsons. Without him, you may have never had the Eagles.
Exactly.
Exactly. He kind of definitely, for people that like the Eagles, they go back and listen to Graham Parsons and they might say, "Oh yeah, I've kind of heard this." Yeah, but Graham Parsons was doing it long before the Eagles were doing it.
To me, MC5, even though I'm not that familiar with their music, I am familiar with their history and their story. To me, they were one of those bands that kind of just paved the road, kind of cleared the road. Where they were one of those bands that kind of broke some ground, did not get huge doing it.
Okay.
But they paved the way for other groups to follow.
Okay.
So I understand.
And
that
I think
place.
that is one of the nice things about the Rock Hall, that they are trying to go back and recognize some of these artists too.
Yeah.
The next artist will be no surprise because we've talked about them on our show. We've recognized some of their albums.
Yeah.
And that's Radiohead.
Yeah.
They were nominated for the first time last year, and I was shocked. I have to be honest. I was shocked that they didn't get in. I was actually, because to me they're one of the most groundbreaking and critically acclaimed bands to come up since the 90s. In my mind, and not to put anyone down, but they blow away the contributions of Nirvana and Pearl Jam. Just so groundbreaking in their creativity and what they've done and how powerful. And they're still a major headliner. I mean, they've headlined, I know, Coachella at least twice, if not more than that. Just fantastic. They've had 2 nominations. They were eligible for the first time in 2017, so they were nominated for the 2018 induction. They didn't get that, and now here they are back again. And I sure hope they get in.
I'm surprised they're not in already. To me, that seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it does make you almost perplexed.
Yeah.
How do they not get in? The next band is a band that you're more familiar with than I am, and that's Rage Against the Machine. This is also their second nomination. They were nominated last year again, just like Radiohead. They're back this year. They're in the category of performers. And why don't I get your thoughts on
it? It's a no-brainer. Rage Against the Machine, I mean, what do I say? I mean, even it's like, in fact, we just talked about the MC5, bands like MC5 made bands like Rage Against the Machine possible. And just the way that I don't know if they were the first band to do the whole rap rock thing, the whole rap metal rock thing, but this band found a way to do it with such a sense of intense funk and groove and vibe and soul and power, that just like, I'm sorry, I don't know if anybody has done the rap rock thing better than Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to Linkin Park fans, but no, Rage Against the Machine, I don't know who's done it really. I can't think of too many. It's hard for me to think of any groups that have done it better.
Yeah.
There is one unknown band that did the rap rock thing that I've never talked about. As far as I know, they only ever did one album. They were a local independent band, and I think like a lot of local independent bands, they never got to get past the local area. That did their own rap rock thing. They sounded nothing like Rage Against the Machine. I'm not going to talk about their sound here because I think someday we're going to talk about these kind of albums on the show. But they're the only other band I can think of that even kind of compares to Rage Against the Machine as far as that type of music is this one band that nobody has ever heard of practically, unless they were in Los Angeles and happened to see them at that show. But so hopefully that's teasing you to know more about that group in the future. But at any rate, Rage Against the Machine is a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. Now the next, again, another, and like I said, we're going to see a few people that have been nominated before.
Yeah.
But this is Roxy Music. who's been eligible since 1997.
Yeah.
But we're seeing them nominated for the first time to be inducted in 2019.
Okay.
They're in the category of performers.
Yeah.
And you know, in reading their bio, because I was reading it a little bit earlier, right before we shot this, Brian Ferry and Graham Simpson formed them back in 1970. I had no idea they went back that far. And I know that they've, you know, some of the, you know, I'm thinking like Iggy Pop or David Bowie. They were part of some of those people that almost paved the way for new wave, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Bands that kind of paved the way for a movement that became huge. And I know they had a couple hits, but you know, I just don't know. In my mind, you know, if you know, some of these other bands we've talked about to me are more seminal. I don't know if they can overcome, you know, like the Rage Against the Machine, like the Radiohead, like the Def Leppard. I think that they probably are deserving, but I don't know if they're going to get in.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts?
I'm once again know more about their story than their music. I can understand why they've been nominated. You know, they do have their place in history.
Right.
And you know, but like you said, as far as whether or not they're going to get, you know, with some of these other acts that are in there, whether they'll make it in this time, we'll see.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not having any problem with them being nominated.
Okay. Now the next one is an artist eligible since 1999. That's Rufus featuring Chaka Khan. They've been nominated to get in 2012, in 2018, which was last year, and then again now to try to get in next year in the 2019, and they're in the category of performers. This is a group, you know, when you think of funk and soul and stuff, definitely not a rock band. And I just can't, I mean, I've heard some of their hits. I don't know if I'm familiar enough, though, really to say, like, hey, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire to me was a no-brainer, get them in there.
Yeah.
I don't know about, you know, Rufus with Chaka Khan. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, I'm afraid. Like you said, yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire, I'm like, yeah, they need to be in there, definitely.
Right away, yeah.
But yeah, with Rufus and Chaka Khan, I'm not as familiar. I don't feel qualified to talk about it really.
Yeah.
Once again, I think I need to read more about them and listen to some of their music.
Yeah, and maybe what we'll do is before they make the announcements, maybe we'll go back and shoot after we.
Yeah.
Maybe what we'll try to do on our own is check out more about the bios.
Yeah.
Listen to more of the music, and then see, you know, if it wasn't based on other people's votes on who are. You know, on what we think and our knowledge, who really should get in, because it's a tough competition. The next one is someone we both know very well. Is she's been eligible since 2006. She has gotten in with Fleetwood Mac, and that's Stevie Nicks. This is her first nomination, but she has been eligible since 2006. What do you think about Stevie Nicks getting in as a solo artist?
I'm okay with it because I know she's already gotten in with Fleetwood Mac. Because she's already gotten in with Fleetwood Mac, she doesn't need, I would say, I hate to say this, but if it comes down to letting someone else who's deserving, who is not part of another famous band in, I would let that other person in first for that reason. But otherwise, though, I'm okay with it because she has done a very consistent body of work that's been of good quality. She's maintained a solo career for decades now. After Fleetwood Mac and during Fleetwood Mac's reunions, she's always maintained that solo career. She did an album a few years ago. I'm trying to think, maybe it was 2
a couple years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago,
which was an exceptionally good album. I really loved that album she did. And it was original material that she had written long ago but had not done anything with. And she brought it out of mothballs, and it was great stuff. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Now, the next band is one, I'm just looking at it because I'm looking through the end of the list now because of the way it comes up on my screen, and that's The Cure. And they were nominated back to be inducted in 2012, they've been eligible since 2004, and this is, again, one of those bands that I'm just flabbergasted that they're not in there. I mean, Robert Smith is such a groundbreaking artist. I mean, when you think of goth rock, he invented the style. And if he didn't invent it, he's the one that gave it a musical soul. You know, and you think about, and beyond how great he is as a singer and a songwriter, his guitar playing is so iconic, whether it's members of 311. I can't tell you how many times I've heard something, even if if I didn't know the artist right away, and you say, oh my gosh, it's Robert, they got Robert Smith on guitar. So many people have tapped into what he did as a guitar player, but yeah, I'm just shocked that they're not in there. And the staying power of the band, they've been around for more than 40 years now, I think, and it's time to get the Cure in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You, of course, are very familiar with this band.
Right.
I am not,
and I have seen them a number of times.
And I have occasionally said to you that I need to listen to The Cure.
Right.
Really listen to them. Maybe borrow some of your albums and sit down and listen to them. And this just reinforces that I do need to, actually. I know, of course, about their history, their staying power, their contribution, without really having closely examined the music. I know I understand the fan base that remains loyal to them after all this time. Just the loyalty of their fan base. So I won't be. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It surprises me, even though I'm not familiar with the music, that like you said, they have not been in sooner.
I mean, when I think of some artists, and I don't want to pick on names here, but some artists that maybe they're known for just one or two songs, or maybe they're so far away from rock. This is Robert Smith in particular, because he's like the only consistent member really through all the different versions of The Cure over the year. But there's just no reason why they're not in there, you know. And the next artist is someone I've talked about a lot, and I know that you're a fan as well.
Oh, okay.
Is the
You
Zombies.
made me a fan of them.
You made
me a fan of them, yeah.
Now, the Zombies, this is their fourth nomination. They were nominated to get in 2014, in 2017, in 2018, and now again in 2019. And the funny thing about the Zombies is, and we've talked about it, but I'll reiterate it here, is since they came back, I mean, they had this, they were together in the 60s, and after Odyssey and Oracle came, right around the time that came out, they broke up. They got back together years later, and they've become more important and introduced more people to their music. And an argument can be made that their work in this century is just as great as their work in the 60s. I know Odyssey and Oracle is a masterwork. That time has been very kind to it. It's hard to compete. But it's just amazing. And unfortunately, their guitar player died a ways back. But 4 of the 5 original members are still alive. And boy, it would sure be nice to get the Zombies into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame while they're around to enjoy it. They got together in 1961.
Yeah, that's another thing. While they're around, to be able to appreciate it. And that's something I want to bring up in every single nomination that's come up here. You know, look, we talked about Stevie Nicks. She's already gotten in because of Fleetwood Mac. So if it came down to, well, we either give one to, you know, and I'm not picking on Stevie Nicks. This is true of just any artist that might be in that same category.
Could be Def Leppard because they're younger.
Yeah, they're still younger. Exactly. If get the people in who are, that are getting on in years. Let them experience and enjoy this while they're alive. If you have to pass up on maybe the younger artists, maybe I think that's a good idea.
And the Zombies are deserving though. They're as we. Most, and I know we didn't get to talk a lot about it, but we're shooting this in October. In late September, Arcade Fire hand-selected them to open for them at the Greek Theater, which is a legendary venue in Los Angeles. And many people around me, I don't know, they were young Arcade Fire fans. I don't know if they knew who the Zombies were. By the time the Zombies got about halfway through their set and did Time of the Season, everybody around me, all the young kids and stuff, were on their feet for the Zombies. They deliver. Not just through their personality and just their exuberance for music making, but just the quality of the songs and how inventive and how they blend jazz and Baroque pop and all these styles, and they're masters at it. We've sometimes talked about how so many songs today are simplistic. That's not the Zombies songs, whether it's the harmonies or the jazz structures and Rod Argent's keyboard playing. Since the death of Ray Manzarek, nobody is better.
And I won't argue with you on it. I mean, you're a bigger fan than me, but you made me a fan. And Odyssey and the Oracle is a masterpiece. It's one of the most. It's still to me one of the what's the word I'm looking for? An unrecognized concept album. Highly, it's not getting the credit. Still doesn't get the credit it deserves. But it's a masterpiece of an album. Just that album alone, in my opinion, is enough. Is enough. But I remember they had a new album recently that you brought on the show that I thought was really good. So if they can still make a good album now in the 21st century, then definitely.
Their albums are just fantastic. And again, I'm glad that they're nominated, and let's hope this time they get in. The last artist on here is an artist I'm very excited to see. I hadn't thought about him as Todd Rundgren. Now, many people know him as an artist for his hits. Other people know him because he was a member of Utopia and as a producer, groundbreaking producer. I mean, it's just neat to see him on here, and he's listed as a performer. I don't know if he'll get in this year. This is his first nomination, but he has been eligible since 1995. and maybe the reunion of Utopia that went back out on a tour in 2018. Maybe they've raised up his profile, and he also was touring. And I know I'm wearing one of Ringo Starr's shirts.
Yeah.
For a long time, he was a member of Ringo Starr and his All-Star band, and he took time, I think, off that band so he could do Utopia and some solo shows this year. But he's a great artist, you know.
Oh yeah.
And this is a really strong field, and I think it's going to be very competitive to see who gets in.
In some ways, Todd Rundgren is kind of like. This is a weird comparison, I know, but stay with me on this. He's kind of one of the. I think I liken him to Clint Eastwood. He's kind of like the Clint Eastwood of pop music. To me, Clint Eastwood was a good actor, but to me, Clint Eastwood's work as an actor will always be overshadowed by his work as a director.
Boy, I hadn't thought of it.
He's one of America's best directors.
Yeah.
You know, even his films that don't quite work are at least interesting in my opinion. You know, he's that good. And Todd Rundgren, to me, yeah, I've enjoyed his hits, but to me, his work as a producer overshadows that because of all the different stuff he's worked on. To me, his hand in so many other artists' work. To me, it's a real significant. Just his hits alone, maybe not, but his work as a producer is a significant contribution.
So that might
to rock
get back
and
to
roll.
what we said early in the episode. We were talking about maybe a category for songwriters. You know, like that are deserving. Maybe as a way to get a few more people in.
Yeah, people who have done songwriting. I mean, like, has Carole King gotten into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I have to think she has, and it's not
because if she has, she could probably get in again as just a songwriter.
Exactly,
because of how many other artists she has written for.
I know when I interviewed Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees, he noted that was his favorite songwriter. Yeah. I mean, and not only for the stuff she wrote for them, the Monkees, but he just loved her stuff. You know?
I mean, she wrote for a lot of people.
And even somebody like Neil Diamond, who has got in as an artist, I'm pretty sure, he could also get in as just a great songwriter. You know, or a Jimmy Webb, somebody like that isn't known as an artist, but he is known for like his songs he did for Glenn Campbell and others.
Absolutely.
So
it's so these are some pretty good picks.
Yeah,
some pretty good picks. Even
the
ones I don't know, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know if we ever want to have that conversation about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, it has had R&B artists, rap artists, country music artists.
I think jazz too, as well.
Even jazz. So
is it Miles Davis? I think is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, that wall's already been. Some people have said, well, it's not rock. I have said, well, it's not really Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if they're letting people who aren't rock in there. And it's already happened now, so now it's just kind of like either live with it or don't.
And it also depends on maybe who you like. For example, for a long time, I was one of the people saying, I love Percy Sledge, but he had one really huge hit, and he's not really a rock artist. He gets in. Or Madonna, she's had all this commercial, pop and success. Is she really a rock? But when other rock artists like Rush and Yes weren't getting in there, I was really struggling with that whole thing.
Yeah.
But again, I go, well, like Hall & Oates, I'm a huge fan. So when they got in, and they're not really known as a rock artist, they're known more pop. I was all for it. So maybe it's our own prejudice and our own biases and how that comes into play.
And how can you have a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and not honor blues artists?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, like Buddy Guy. I mean, somebody like Buddy Guy.
Yeah.
I think he is in there, or a B.B. King. They had such a profound influence on rock.
It would be a crime if you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess based on just that observation alone, then I guess having you can't really say you can't have R&B artists.
Yeah.
You can't have even hip hop artists and even country artists because blues and country are when you get to their core, they are kind of kissing cousins.
They are.
And they both were instrumental in giving birth to rock and roll.
Right, exactly.
Both of them.
Especially you listen to somebody like Buddy Holly, you hear so much country.
Yeah.
And he did have some bona fide country songs that he recorded too.
Yeah.
But there's so much, when you hear that rockabilly stuff, you do hear that fusion of country and rock and roll.
Yeah.
And then they kind of split apart, especially when you got to the British invasion.
Yeah.
But think about like Ringo Starr saying, Honey Don't and Act Naturally and stuff.
Yeah.
And the fans to them it was just a great song.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it's about, just great music.
Great songs, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we should retitle it, but it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's what it's called. But so I guess we've had that discussion now, haven't we?
We have. We didn't want to, but we did it anyway.
We've settled it.
Yeah.
We've settled it. You can all go home now.
Okay.
Get on with your lives. Stop arguing about it, okay? It's over. It's done. Anyways.
He said it.
There we go. Well, everybody, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
And who are you going to be voting for? Because you can go online and start vote for your favorite artists. I think you can vote for anywhere from 1 to 5.
But how do you become a voter?
No, actually with this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they invite you. Just have to register, and anyone can vote.
Oh, anyone
You don't
can.
have to be a music writer like me. You can vote.
Oh, you mean the nominations?
Yeah, the nominations. The nominations are online.
Yeah.
And you can vote for your favorite artist that you would like to be inducted in 2019.
Oh, okay. That the public can vote for.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's the nominations that the general public has no say.
That's right. They have no say so in that. But
Okay.
but now that we read through them, now that those artists are have been nominated, you can go on with that field of artists and you can vote for your favorites.
Yeah. So let us know how you're going to vote, and let us know what you think of the nominees. And we'll look forward to reading your comments. Take care, everybody.
Hey, see you later.
Bye.